You may know him as the man behind the mouse, the founder of Disneyland, the creator of one of the greatest filmmaking studios in the world. You may have known him personally or publicity-wise because of the legacy he left behind. However you know him, I know him as my hero, and his name is Walt Disney. Walt Disney was a turning point in history because he was able to achieve greatness and because he believed. He believed in the American dream, the idea that life includes the opportunity for success and prosperity, which can only be achieved by hard work. Walt Disney revolutionized the way the world views the entertainment business, and this is his story. Walter Elias Disney was born on December 5th, 1901. In Chicago, Illinois. He had a love for drawing art at a young age. He took drawing and photography classes and was a contributing cartoonist for his high school paper. At night, he took courses at the Chicago Art Institute. When Disney was 16, he dropped out of school to join the Army, but was rejected for being underage. Instead, he joined the Red Cross and was sent to France for a year to drive an ambulance. When Disney returned from France in 1919, he moved back to Kansas City to pursue a career as a newspaper artist. His brother Roy got him a job at the Pesman Rubin Art Studio, where he met cartoonist Ub Earworks. From there, Disney worked at the Kansas City Film Ad Company, where he made commercials based on cut-out animation. Around this time, Disney began experimenting with a camera, doing hand-drawn cell animation, and decided to open his own animation business. Walt made a deal with the local Kansas City theater to screen his cartoons, which he called Laughograms. The cartoons were hugely popular, and Disney was able to acquire his own studio. Laughogram hired a number of employees, including Ub Earworks. The company created a series of 7-minute fairy tales that combined both live action and animation, which they called Alice in Cartoonland. By 1923, however, the studio had become burdened with debt, and Disney was forced to declare bankruptcy. Disney and his brother Roy soon pooled their money and moved to Hollywood. Earworks also relocated to California, and there the three began the Disney Brothers Studio. Their first deal was with New York distributor Margaret Winkler to distribute their Alice cartoons. They also invented a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Walt created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit when he worked for Universal Pictures. The rabbit starred in a series of 26 animated black and white silent shorts. Oswald was a spunky and mischievous character that brought real performance and emotion to the screen. However, making these shorts took money that Walt did not have. Walt went to Charles Mintz, the president of Universal Pictures, to ask for an increase in pay. On this trip, Walt learned that in fact Mintz wanted to cut his pay by 20%. He also learned that Mintz had stolen the rights to Oswald. Walt suffered greatly from the loss of his beloved creation. Walt learned from his loss and went on to create another successful character that no one would ever be able to take away. Right away, the Disney brothers, their wives, and Earworks produced 3 cartoons featuring a new character Walt had been developing. In 1928, Walt Disney and Ub Earworks created the world-renowned character known as Mickey Mouse. Mickey was an anthropomorphic mouse who typically wore red shorts, large yellow shoes, and white gloves. Mickey starred in several animated shorts, including Steamboat Willie, the first animation to include sound. With Walt as the voice of Mickey, the cartoon was an instant sensation. The business was then renamed Walt Disney Studios. In 1929, Disney created Silly Symphonies, which was a series of animations. One of the most popular segments, Flowers and Trees, was the first cartoon ever to be produced in color, and even won an Oscar. In 1933, The Three Little Pigs and its title song, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, became a theme for the country in the midst of the Great Depression. The incorporation of both sound and color were huge accomplishments of Walt Disney, but nothing compared to what happened in 1937. On December 21st, 1937, Walt Disney Studios released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first ever full-length animated motion picture. Audiences loved the magic animations brought, and Walt took it to a whole new level. It first premiered in Los Angeles and produced an unimaginable $1.499 million, in spite of the Depression, and won a total of 8 Oscars. During the next 5 years, Walt Disney Studios completed another string of full-length animated films, including Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, and Bambi. There was something about each movie that surprised audiences. With Pinocchio, they were able to witness the same emotion appear in an animated movie as a live-action one, and they loved it. Walt Disney Productions then created Fanasound, a unique sound system that was used to project the film's amazing use of music. The company was then able to use this in order to create an arrangement of several segments set to music, better known as Fantasia. Walt then created Dumbo, the story of an amazing elephant's journey to becoming a star. Bambi was the first Disney movie to consist of only animal characters. The Walt Disney Company was doing well. Walt Disney then took a more cultural approach in 1942, with the creation of Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros, which first appeared in New Mexico on December 21st, 1945. In 1950, Walt Disney released the timeless tale of Cinderella. Peter Pan was then created in 1953 by Walt Disney, and based on the original play of The Boy Who Never Grew Up. When Lady and the Tramp was created, audiences realized how animals could have just as much emotion as people, even in the romance aspect. Walt Disney created Sleeping Beauty in 1959, based on the fairy tale by Charles Perrault. 101 Dalmatians was created by Walt in 1961, based on the novel by Dottie Smith. The Sword in the Stone was the last film Walt was able to work on and see the result. He also made contribution to the Aristocats and the Jungle Book. In all, more than 100 features were produced by his studio. In 1966, Disney was diagnosed with lung cancer and died on December 15th, at the age of 65. When Walt Disney died, it felt as though the whole world had lost hope. Critics doubted the future of his company, and families feared for the entertainment they had fallen in love with that had seemed to disappear with Walt. Fortunately, employees were able to keep Walt Disney's dream alive. Even after Walt's death, his company was able to accomplish great. It seems as though Walt was never truly able to see what a true success he was, and still is today, but thankfully, we were able to view his journey from the beginning. Walt was able to achieve great, even after his death, with the legacy he left behind.